I'm in the middle of the ocean and it's crystal clear as far as the eye can see. This amazing emerald green.
I'm in the Sulu Archipelago in the south of the Philippines, 1,000 kilometers from the capital of Manila.
We're going on a dive in search of a very ancient ocean commodity. I'm so excited. Let's see what we find.
But this diver isn't using modern equipment. He's relying on air pumped through just a compressor and a simple hose.
There's a lot of sea cucumber down there.
More than 2 centuries ago, these treasures of the deep would have powered a formidable dynasty, the Sultanate of Sulu. In this episode, I'm searching for the lesser-known royal history behind this region and its people. How did a proud kingdom rise out from a small island?
This is the oldest physical evidence of Muslim settlement in Sulu.
Amazing. It's so early.
They cultivated their own distinct way of life, harnessing the natural environment, and became a key part of an ancient global maritime trading network.
These export wares were made in China and specifically catering to an Islamic market.
All while fiercely defending their independence for over 3 centuries.
Do not believe what the Spaniards is saying. It was taken as a betrayal of trust between Spain and Sulu.
But which culminated in a pivotal battle that left the capital destroyed. What traces of the Sultanate remain today?
How many generations of sultans must have sat in a palace that looked just like this?
I'm starting my journey in Tawi-Tawi, in the Sulu Archipelago, uncovering how a new religion took root centuries ago. This province has the highest proportion of Muslim inhabitants in the country and is home to the oldest mosque in all of the Philippines. Who was the formidable figure behind this place of worship?
Sheikh Karim Makdum was the Arabian missionary who founded the first and original mosque. With the Muslims, he had converted here in 1318. He was not only primarily a preacher and a scholar, but as a trader. Before he came, the people here were practicing some aspects of Hinduism and some animism. When he came, he was able to convince the people to accept Islam.
See.
The mosque hints at the early seeds of Islamic influence in the Sulu Archipelago. And while most of the structure has been rebuilt, local historian Haji Faisal Malande shows me that some older facets remain.
This is one of the 4 remaining pillars or relics. There were no nails at the time. They had to carve that and to place a wood to connect it to another post for the flooring.
Haji Faisal tells me each of these 4 pillars boasts a unique design in the style of traditional motifs known as okir.
And this is a different design again. It's like a spiral going up.
It has no beginning, no end. It symbolizes our faith in divine.
So these could be the earliest examples of Islamic art in the Philippines that express a sense of infinity, beauty, and of course, Islamic faith.
Sheikh Karimul Makdum is said to have visited almost every island of the archipelago, converting the local population. But it would take more than one man to lay the foundations for the rise of a powerful new monarchy, the Sultanate of Sulu. kingdom endured for over 4 centuries. To seek out how its rulers came into power, I'm heading to the place where it was founded, Jolo Island in the province of Sulu. It's actually my first time in Jolo, a place that has been mired with conflict in the recent past. The island was a stronghold of the Abu Sayyaf group, an extremist organization that formed in the early 1990s, which sought to establish an independent Islamic state in the southern Philippines. It was only in 2023 that authorities declared the island free of these militants. On the streets, there are now signs of renewed life.
I just can't imagine that some years ago this place was considered too dangerous even for tourists. But look at it now. Lots of life and bustling activity. I feel so lucky to be here.
But what remains of the island's royal past?
I'm going up Bud Datu, which means Hill of Rulers, a very significant site in the history of the Sultanate. It is believed that some of the sultans were crowned in this place, and some of them even sought refuge here during fierce battles.
Hidden atop this very mountain is a mysterious relic of Sulu nobility.
This is the oldest physical evidence of Muslim settlement in Sulu.
Wow.
Researcher Darwin Apsari is one of the few studying this ancient tomb site.
So as you can see, it's written in the tombstone there in Arabic, whoever dies far away dies a martyr. Bless the soul of Tuan Magbalu, who died 710 Hijra. That's around 1310.
Amazing. It's so early.
While no records exist of the name inscribed on the tombstone, Tuan Magbalu, Darwin has his theories.
Judging from the title Tuan, which in Malay is a title given to a very respected individual, shows that he is of some political prominence, of an important ruler. I believe he must have been accompanied by some foreign Muslim traders who later married the locals and eventually left some descendants and established a settlement from where the Islam started to spread and grow.
From as early as the 14th century, Muslim settlers and missionaries cultivated the strong presence of Islam in Sulu communities, setting the stage for a new regional power. In around the year 1390, a prince coming from Sumatra called Raja Baginda arrives in Sulu with his followers. Fighting is said to have ensued between his entourage and the local chiefs. But when it is discovered that he is a Muslim like them, Raja Baginda is accepted and later elevated as a local leader. Some years after, the Arab missionary Sayyid Abu Bakr arrives. He is welcomed by Raja Baginda and even goes on to marry his daughter. Abu Bakr continues to propagate the spread of Islam, and his influence and power grows, accompanied by a grand title, Sultan Shariful Hashim, supreme authority of the Philippines' first Islamic Sultanate.
Wow. This is really a spectacular view. That's the town of Jolo. And rising above the buildings, these wonderful minarets all over of the mosques.
The Sultanate of Sulu united many of its people and earned their allegiance through a strong foundation of religious belief. But situated within a small chain of islands, how did this kingdom extend its reach during its early years?
These are very interesting Chinese wares here, made during the 15th and early 16th century.
I see.
So these are what we termed as the rock and floral design.
Archaeologist Bobby Aurelianeda is showing me some ancient artifacts that local residents have uncovered, which hint at the Sultanate's cosmopolitan connections.
So I presume this would have been for dining?
Yes, it is, but If you look at the size, it's bigger than the normal ones. And one theory is that the big dishes are destined really for Islamic communities who likes communal feasting.
It's totally fascinating that these export wares were made in China and specifically catering to an Islamic market.
Yes, that's right.
So Sulu welcomed Chinese traders and their products to its shores. But Bobby tells me they did more than just visit.
This is very classic Chinese design. It could be that there are Chinese settlers already in Sulu that has also ordered or consumed objects like this. There may be the local inhabitants, the Chinese and other nationalities, which are consuming lots and lots of materials.
I see. I think it is a wonderful symbol of maritime trade and cultural exchange.
By the 16th century, Sulu had become a fixture for commerce not just with the Chinese, but also merchants from Malacca, Brunei, and parts of present-day Indonesia. But what drew such diverse populations to trade with these islands? I'm sailing out on the Sulu Sea. Within these crystalline waters lie the riches that the Sultanate of Sulu needed to attract foreign traders to its shores. But just as important was the manpower that would be skilled enough to harness them. Aldin Janulia is a member of the Sama di Laut, a historically sea-dwelling group that have been dispersed in the region since the era of the Sulu Sultanate, and whose lifestyles are closely linked to the ocean.
Siki-siki iti gamit ko para matahik para wasa kamay. Iti pakai ko para kakambay pareho.
I'm so impressed. He's got this rudimentary, very handmade-looking equipment. So shall we get ready to go in?
So atun na kita.
Okay.
Sama di Laut divers like Aldin can stay underwater for up to 5 minutes at a time. With a compressor, that number can go up to an hour. After about 10 minutes, we find our prize.
That was just simply amazing. I've never seen sea cucumber this size. They are enormous. They're colorful. These are the treasures of the Sulu Archipelago.
Sea cucumbers are marine animals related to starfish and sea urchins.
Ito na pong bat na po natin.
Wow, this is his horn. It is incredibly heavy.
Ini malak po na ko.
May I? Oh my God, speechless. This is like the size of my arms. Look at this. Are you happy with what you found today?
Kinuha ka na po sala. Mayrat gadnik. Ay katakulo ko bata, kinuha ka na. Kung kami sa Maldilag, pasal maingat kami. Karakat, ining kabuyan na mo, amo na ini. Pausa na mo. Dahil sinhapo na mo pa. Sampai marapa mga kami pa mga anak na mo.
The Philippines is one of the biggest exporters of sea cucumber in the world. Aldin is taking me along to meet with a local buyer.
Kitaunta ko ng bat mo ano to. Nyari bat Malboro.
Murphy Jawang purchases the hauls of divers like Aldin and processes them for sale.
Medium size in bat mo ini, sir. Buli-buli.
Each sea cucumber is assessed by size and value of the species.
How much is this one?
300, sir.
Not bad.
The sea cucumbers will then be taken through a long process of cleaning, boiling, grilling, and finally drying.
Now, this is what I'm much more familiar with, the sea cucumber that we see in Chinese herbal medicine shops. Who do you sell the finished products to?
Imbat ko yaon, iragang ko, paborega, na doon at Chinese bill.
Ubos mamimburi ngayon, dahon nila pa Sambuanga, pa Cebu, pa Manila, pa China. Pagdagang kusimbatan silang kakilo, 4,500.
While dried sea cucumber is popular on the international market, they can also be cooked fresh in a meal.
Restaurants in Singapore braise it till it's very soft, but here it's springier. It's a sauce soaker. I love it.
The Sultanate of Sulu exploited locally sourced marine commodities in order to sustain a burgeoning economy. Groups like the Sama di Laut that I've just spent the day with form the crucial part of this maritime state.
But while the Sama di Laut were key resource gatherers, the Sultanate's ruling class was made up of another ethnic group based largely on land, the Tausug.
The Tausug people are today the predominant ethnic group of the Sulu Archipelago, who in the era of the Sultanate included members of aristocracy and the Sultan himself. How has their way of life endured until today?
I'm in the Tausug neighborhood of Gimba Lagasan. Many of its residents are weavers, and I'm heading to a center where textiles are made. Among collectors, these ones are very coveted.
Assalamualaikum.
Salam.
Pulang Ali is one of the 10 weavers of this local workshop. Their specialty is pisyabit, a multicolored tapestry-style square piece of fabric, in which each motif represents an element of community life.
Buwan ka ini. Ini among pagtayak ko pansin Bisaya ibang Tausug. Inyari bay siya. Inyari amon bay sinamon damo pya kamo hal sugi sabi nini.
The complexity and combination of patterns is up to each weaver.
Assalamualaikum, Apo.
Salam.
And I'm learning from the most experienced of them all.
It's amazing, she's not wearing glasses, and you really need to be able to see all these fine threads.
At 80 years old, Ablahan Mihilun is the oldest weaver in the community.
Ulin, yan.
Okay.
Yan to. Yan to yan. Na.
Oh. Oh.
Yan.
Here.
Yan. Na, yan to. No,
Okay,
yan. Okay.
Okay. So there's this little wooden tool here which assists in looping the threads. And it's used to push down right just where the pattern is, so you have to be very focused. I'm so slow, you're very fast.
Bang biak mag-anad, maluming. Bukan biak ka mo makasay.
This tradition has been passed down through generations of Tausug craftswomen. Ablahan herself began at the age of 13.
Ang really important, bantog inya Tausug. Anak apo ko maingat na magbiya ini. Damang kami mga ako mawa, anak apo ko maingat. Kaya ini. Saran amo na ining kabuhianan namo.
The pisyabit was traditionally worn by Tausug men as a headdress or draped over the shoulder to represent the wearer's elevated status.
Pagpis in Tausug, biya ini.
Nowadays, these fabrics can be worn by people from all walks of life, symbolizing Tausug cultural pride.
Pag-uwo si Wagot, biya ini. Ha?
Okay.
Biya yan. Na. Yan to, ha? Katanyo.
I love how the textiles reveal the art and emotion of the Tausug people.
Malingkat.
They draw inspiration from nature, family and their surroundings, and all these elements come together in these vibrant geometric textiles. It's about livelihood, and yet they create such great art. This combination, I think, is really moving.
A diverse local population enabled the Sultanate of Sulu to flourish, with each group performing key roles. For the next few centuries, the kingdom's participation in an extensive network of maritime trade grew. With its access to a rich resource base, which included sea cucumber, pearls and tortoise shell from the sea, and forest products like bird's nest and camphor, the Sultanate of Sulu attracted merchants from the Makassar Strait and as far as China. In return, foreigners traded a variety of goods: textiles, ceramics, earthenware, and spices. But the peak of the Sultanate's participation in maritime commerce would come about in the second half of the 18th century and would coincide with a period of increased conflict with enemies from the West, the Spanish. How did this new presence leave its mark on the country? I'm in Dapitan City in northwestern Mindanao. At the Kinabayo Festival, an annual event which honors the patron saint of the city, St. James the Greater.
The word Kinabayo means mock riding on a horse, and we can see the star of the show and his mock horse. I think that looks pretty convincing, don't you?
Festivities like these are a legacy of the Philippines' Spanish colonial past, which lasted for over 3 centuries.
I really love being part of this. It's really festive, lots of bystanders. Atmosphere is electrifying.
The parade takes us through the city to its iconic church, named in honor of St. James. And a final performance to wow the gathered crowds. But no festival would be complete without one essential component: the food.
Oh, hello, Peter!
Local resident Apple Marie Agolong is hosting a celebratory feast at her home.
In honor of St. James the Greater, before our meal, we always chant, Viva Señor Santiago! Viva! Yes! Dig in, guys. This is actually the flavors in every fiesta.
I love how people are just streaming in and everyone's just enjoying and sharing. That's so delicious.
Oh, thank you.
Apple tells me how the Spanish belief in St. James was brought over to the Philippines and applied to conflict with another group closer to home. Its Muslim inhabitants, referred to by the Spanish as the Moros.
The Jesuits came here in Dapitan City and installed their parish. At that time, our forefathers needed a patron saint that could really protect our land. St. James was being asked to protect the Christians because during that time, they need to convert the Muslims, the Moors.
And how does the belief in him carry over to the present day?
That was before. Now, we call on St. James to protect everybody.
I love how he has evolved from being important in a political context to somebody who's a symbol of help and protection for everyone.
Yes. That's what we believe in.
I'm struck by how faith, culture, and history have shaped not just this city, but the entire country in different ways. Spanish expeditions to the Philippines in pursuit of new resources and territories first began in the 16th century. But the Spanish would meet way more resistance in the Sulu Archipelago than they could have anticipated. Facing off against colonial incursions, how did the Sultanate fight back?
Go, sit up.
I'm in Zamboanga City, just north of the Sulu Archipelago, learning about an ancient martial arts form that could have been used by the Sultanate of Sulu to fend off its enemies.
Okay, I'm not going to try that one.
Kuntaw is thought to have been brought to the region through ancient trade routes with China and incorporates techniques from the Malay martial art of Silat.
Subukan tayo? Okay.
Grandmaster Salib Said has taught this combat form for 40 years. and is giving me a crash course in self-defense.
That was a throat attack.
Ito silat. Ito ganon. Pagkatapos, ilagay lang dito. Ayan. Maganda ba?
After Spanish colonial forces arrived in the 16th century, battles ensued between them and the Muslim sultanates of Maguindanao, Brunei, and Sulu. Practitioners of Kuntaw believe that it was used by defenders of the Sulu Sultanate as a form of resistance.
I love how it sort of looks like a dance, but it's actually all about attack and defense.
In Kuntaw ini, lam jalala. Mag-atap iban sim pangadatan tausug pag mabuka. Kiawa na mo, takama na mo, Kastila, iban hapon, iban milikan, kal na amuyad tuwin hinang papupusin na kauna. In Kuntaw.
That was fascinating. What particularly strikes me is how time and time again we see people use local methods to find ingenious ways to battle the enemy.
Kick. Ah, that was amazing. You're doing great, yeah.
Despite many clashes, the Spanish were unable to establish a sustained foothold in the south. But by the early 18th century, they had solidified their presence further north, with bases on the present-day islands of Luzon, Panay, and Cebu.
I'm in the walled city of Intramuros in Manila, the capital of the Philippines under Spanish colonial rule. Its imposing structures are testament to the far-reaching might of Spanish imperialistic enterprise. The Sultanate of Sulu was determined not to fall under Spanish subjugation, but some of its rulers attempted to negotiate peaceful relations with the Spanish. However, such efforts sometimes brought about mixed results.
In 1737, the Sulu Sultan Alimuddin comes to an agreement with the Spanish. He receives military aid from them to subdue rivaling factions, but in return is obliged to permit Spanish missionaries to preach in Jolo. Local Muslim chiefs and religious leaders fiercely object to their presence. With their support, the Sultan's brother, Datu Bantilan, rises in opposition to his rule. So, in 1749, the Sultan seeks refuge in Manila. He continues to nurture relations with the Spanish and eventually even requests to be baptized.
Alimuddin's intentions in converting to Christianity have been debated a great deal, with some arguing that he had done so as a political strategy. What we do know is that while he was in Manila, the Spanish were faced with increasing bouts of conflict under the new Sultan in Sulu, and so were motivated to reinstall Alimuddin as ruler.
How did sultans navigate diplomacy with their colonial adversaries? I've been granted exclusive access to the National Archives of the Philippines, headed by Victorino Manalo.
We have about 60 million records from the 16th century all the way to the 21st. Part of that is the Spanish collection. That's about 18 million records.
Fantastic.
Researcher Ariel Lopez has unearthed a key letter in the archives, which was written by Sultan Alimuddin while he was aligned with the Spanish, but whose contents reveal a covert message.
Wow, this is really incredible.
This is a letter from Sultan Alimuddin of Sulu in 1751 to the Sultan of Maguindanao. This letter in Malay, written in Jawi script, is accompanied by another letter in Spanish. But while the Spanish version was likely more friendly about the Spanish, the Jawi version here reveals what the Sultan of Sulu really had in his heart. It says, "Jangan orang menyatakan apa-apa yang disuruh Kastila." Do not believe what the Spaniards is saying, no? And everything is just ordered by the Spanish. This letter reveals he was acting under the duress of the Spanish.
So what did the Spanish do when they discovered this?
It was intercepted by the Spaniards and taken as a proof of betrayal of trust between Spain and Sulu.
For this betrayal, Alimuddin and his royal entourage were arrested in 1751 and only returned to Jolo 13 years later. But he was not the only ruler who tried to work with the Spanish over the years. Others sought to establish treaties with them for mutual economic gain.
The study of treaties and letters like this show us the individual agency of sultans, and they are acting on their own political interests on the conditions that they see at the time.
It's easy to think of history just in terms of the big events like battles and victories, but actually the reality was far more complex.
Yes.
But even as the Sultanate contended with the Spanish, it was able to reach new economic heights in the late 18th century. Through a boom in demand for its marine and jungle products like pearls, sea cucumber, and bird's nest, which were highly prized in China. Key to sustaining these commercial endeavors was a labor force to procure these goods and vessels that could transport them across the ocean.
Look at these amazing outrigger boats. The sails, they really remind me of traditional textiles. These geometric patterns and the very bright colors.
But I'm not just here to admire these crafts. Danny Ladja is a champion racer of these traditional boats known as Vinta.
Okay.
Talian mo yun para hindi maglabyog-labyog ang layag. Gumana na, may ready to race na siya.
We're gonna go. Wish me luck. Here we go. Woohoo. Oh, faster. I thought it'd be unstable, but the outriggers keep it so smooth.
But I want to see what might have made the Vinta such a popular mode of transport, its agility and speed.
Kung na diring hangin, kalit lang yun ako, pirahon ana o. Aron muliko dala yun yung bangka. Nigliko ni mo, anara, pirahalan siya.
That's the way to do a U-turn. Very clever.
Now, to try out my newfound skills.
Oh!
Like this?
Marunong ka pala, sir. Okay.
In the era of the Sulu Sultanate, these boats would have been used by the Sama di Laut, the Tausug, and even by the Spanish. But they were also used by fearsome raiders who scoured insular Southeast Asia in pursuit of slaves to bring back to the Sulu Archipelago and be sold or used as manpower in its growing trade economy.
That was totally exhilarating. I love how the youth are still doing this. It's not just tradition, it's living culture.
I'm in the Philippines, tracing the proud history of the once independent Sulu Sultanate at its peak. While the Spanish maintained colonial territories further north, by the late 18th century, the Sultanate's domain is said to have extended from North Borneo to southern Palawan. I'm getting a glimpse of how local arts and culture thrived at the height of the Sultanate. Ilingan Ailam Jana and Isang Bagadi are Kissa performers, an oral narrative or epic poem usually expressed through song.
This is really so ethereal. I get goosebumps. They say there's no civilization or culture without memory, and this is pure memory.
The contents of Kissa are often inspired by historical events and folk heroes, such as local chiefs or datu, and even sultans. But seasoned performers also include their own spontaneous improvisations. While some members of this local performing arts troupe practice a traditional dance known as pangalay, others try their hand at mastering Kissa.
To you, what is the cultural importance of this tradition?
Pasal amun deng ha kamaasan nung ta ini amun masa zaman awal zaman. In halka hatinya da akun kau sintao dia ihal kaan kau ihan dumungog sila marayaw singkis sayad to. Pasal pamintangannya to laum atay nam yan.
Matawod bang sabayari limihan Patausog pasama lapayin Christian kami di kata naghula si Manyan.
It's so moving to see how these ancestral themes are being passed down to the next generation.
Magtabang-tabang kuno, magumban-umban. Pagkasadyahitraan kasanyang sinkauman.
As the Sultanate of Sulu's role in regional trade networks continued to grow in the 19th century, so too did its interactions with other colonial powers, who, like Spain, hoped to establish bases in the region.
The uneasy dynamic between the Sulu Sultanate and the Spaniards would shift with the coming of the British and the Dutch to the Philippines shores. To prevent their competitors from securing a strong foothold in Sulu, the Spanish would set in motion their last phase of warring in the south.
In February 1876, the largest Spanish force that had ever been to Sulu reaches the island of Jolo. 9,000 troops advanced by land and sea, bombarding the town and attacking its fortifications. The capital is destroyed, and Sultan Jamalul Alam is forced to retreat to the nearby hill of Buddatu. The Spanish go on to lay siege to other Sulu strongholds, and a garrison is established at Jolo, with a Spanish captain named as the politico-military governor of the island. Efforts at retaliation and attacks on the garrison go on for 2 years, until in 1878, when the Sultan signs the kingdom's final treaty with the Spanish, acknowledging Spain's sovereignty.
While the treaty did not bring a complete end to hostilities, Spain had finally, after 300 years, secured its conquest. But just 2 decades later, their colonial era was brought to close with the onset of the Spanish-American War. In 1898, the Philippines proclaimed its independence, which after decades of struggle was finally fully obtained in 1946.
The Sulu Archipelago became part of this new nation, and while the symbolic role of the Sultanate has endured, disputes over succession have arisen over the past century, since the passing of Sultan Jamalul Kiram II in 1936, and later Sultan Mahakutta Kiram in 1986.
Biyaw niya rin family ko.
So 5 boys.
5 boys. 2 beautiful princesses and my queen.
I have the unique privilege of an audience with a member of Sulu royalty. Muezzul Lail Tan Kiram, also known here as Sultan Butch, is one of at least 5 living claimants to the throne.
Ini na old picture, a coronation sin father ko.
He looks very regal.
Pag-us niya kriyaw ni sabak ko bilang Raja Muda atau Crown Prince. Sinama ko. Iyari ako cute, handsome boy.
Very much so.
Ako ikakatluan taglima sultan bilang Raja Muda sin namaruhong Sultan Mahakuta Kiram, ikakatluan tag-upat sultan, last recognized sultan sin Philippine government. Mabot marik paama ko, wayroon na. Sa hindi nakako. Pasalan matod mawaya bangkataning kapatid ko.
At the passing of his father Mahakutta Kiram, there were claims that Muezzul was too young to ascend the throne, leading to disputes by his uncles for the title. With no unanimous recognition of the rightful heir, descendants like him perform a less formalized role in Sulu society, but still take immense pride in their lineage.
Impata ko amoy ning coronation ko dito ha sacred ground sin Darul Jambangan.
How do you feel as a member of Sulu royalty?
Marayo sab sumakawa. Ina ko timatakada ko report sin mga rumabitsara labi aula ha mga marad ko. Mi-monitor ko yung kahalan sin hula na mo. Adlaw.
Sulu has been through so much over the centuries. What are your hopes for the people?
Na inyangan ang kubang mayan amo dumayaw yung kahalan, maddaw ati maksud sin pagtakon, agama bangsa ipan sinula. Haway ron led to masala niya. Damikyan para ayat way ron na tumasal na. Hali na mo maddaw hata kawiin na mo daraukan sin maksud. Madawat diyan sin susungon huling bata. Inshallah.
I'm heading to the site of Muezzul's coronation, Darul Jambangan Palace. Almost all of this residence was destroyed in 1932 by a typhoon, but it has recently been reconstructed in ode to its former splendor.
This is a really beautiful reconstruction. This is definitely the throne hall, and we see a grand chair raised on a dais. I can just imagine the members of his council or the Rumah Bicara discussing very important matters of state. How many generations of sultans must have sat in a palace that looked just like this?
This new palace is a fitting tribute to a site that would have been the seat of the Sultanate's power in its twilight years.
Oh, this is the royal bedroom. Look at this gorgeous woven floor mat. I think that's really Southeast Asian. It has this wonderful combination of grandeur and intimacy. Meeting the Sultan today and hearing his dreams about Sulu and his people, and then coming to this reconstruction of the palace with its grand tribute to the past, really brings everything together. What an awesome experience.
Good morning, everyone.
Today, the people of Sulu are finding a renewed sense of pride and ownership over their land.
We start the day good and end the day good by contributing to our Mother Nature.
Regular coastal cleanups like these are organized by the Philippine Coast Guard, with the participation of youth volunteers like local student Nur Salim Rizal.
We have a plastic here.
Wow, another one. We pick up so much plastic here. Why do the youth of Sulu want to take part in these initiatives?
Sulu has changed a lot from before. We could not go anywhere because it is too dangerous for us. But today, the people can go anywhere. Sulu has a natural beauty and such a long history. And now, as a youth, we want to give it back to the environment.
And cleanup efforts extend not just to the coastline. I'm headed out to sea one last time with a special team of divers.
Wow, whoa! Precious cargo from the depths of the sea, 100% trash. Cleanups like these are a tribute to the close relationship the people of the Sulu Archipelago have had with their natural environment for centuries. It's hard to imagine that even less than a decade ago, this island would have been totally different. While the shadow of that past hasn't disappeared completely, throughout my journey here, it's been inspiring to see how locals and institutions have found a way to move forward with a renewed sense of purpose.